Well, continuing with another delivery about a theme that is in vogue, that is of national and global actuality, that has called in a very powerful way the attention of an extraordinary part of humanity, such as the theme of a vision far beyond the pandemic. In this new delivery, we would like to make a more specific approach about, we consider, some characteristical elements specific of this situation in which we currently found ourselves. We hold and have held that the correct term is the Great Desolation, even though it is not a term that you would like to use, because for most people the term is pandemic or the coronavirus, but for us it's the Great Desolation, which has allowed in a very particular, very individualized, very personal way to see a series of situations that in other way will be very difficult, almost arriving to the impossible, to be able to perceive, to observe, to look, or to denote. And this is already an incredible thing. In the study that we are caring about the book of Revelation, we are trying to make an approach ample enough, very concise, and at the same time very clear about a series of topics and themes that are addressed in this particular text that we consider to be the last one of the history. Talking about the apocalypse or revelation, depending on the perspective which is being given, we have come to understand that the pandemic or the great desolation are interlaced, united in a very, very interesting way. We cannot abstract ourselves, we cannot obviate that in the actuality a series of phenomena and events around the world are being given that are interesting and worth of being analyzed. And these phenomena, these events that are occurring around the world, call our attention in a very powerful way, and we consider that they have to be part of a profound and strong analysis of the national or regional or global reality in consonance or in unison with the book of Revelation. But then, where we want to arrive is that this situation of the great desolation, as we have held and hold, is allowing us to see a series of events, phenomenons that call our attention very powerfully because it's a situation, we will say, for this generation unique. It is not that in human history other generations have not passed through this sort of situations. Yes, yes, it is clear that they have passed through it with totally different circumstances. But those who are still present, those who are allowed still to exist a little more time, those whose moment still has not come to depart from the earth, cannot obviate that this that is happening, this situation that is being given of the great desolation, is arranging, modifying, and preparing humanity for changes which we consider important. It is obvious that there will be tendencies, there will be ideologies, there will be thoughts, there will be lines of criteria with relation to how this situation must stitch together. What we cannot obviate is that everything that is happening in all the different countries of the world, with some rare exceptions, is only allowing that those that have had powerful interests move regarding to those interests, because the circumstances, in addition to deserving it, allow it. And it is shameful the role that the Christian paganism has been developing, because it has not been able to deal with the situation of the great pandemic. It's sad, we will say, and pitiful to see how, in actuality, the religious groups around the world are fighting to survive after having been comfortable, calm, enjoying of their earthly riches and of their mass control, to a contrast of abandonment, of loneliness, of closure, and of struggles to survive. And that has called our attention very powerfully, because this pandemic has some fruits that are, we consider, very important. And you can search them from whatever perspective that you like. Look, for example, the health problem, and you will find a profound and anarchical debate with relation to this situation, from extreme to extreme, from point to point, and from perspective to perspective. And you will see that nobody of these groups can agree into something. And there are tendencies of all sort, from those that totally isolate themselves for fear of dying, for fear that the great desolation reaches them, to the extreme of those that believe that all of this is a lie, a deceit, a falsehood that is meant to have them controlled. We will not delve in this moment in this debate, but we promise that we will talk about this situation because we consider that it is terribly important. In the same way, this great desolation has also hit the religious groups. Put whatever name, term, denomination, or religion you like. It has not shown mercy to anyone. Religious groups have been totally hit and hurt in the very core, and have demonstrated the deceit, the incapacity, and above all, the lie of saying that they are something and are nothing. And what can we say about the political part? We say we see that this great desolation has proven that many world leaders have been incompetent and incapable to administer this situation. To give it a different perspective of what they have been doing, and the worst of humanity in a political level has been seen. And this is incredible. Believe us that making a profound analysis of the political situation of the Great Desolation, of the effects of the Great Desolation, is a tremendous, dramatic, and complicated thing to do. So, as we say, this Great Desolation has come to address a series of shortcomings that the human being has had and has. We see that this great desolation has broken extreme family bonds, extreme, totally extreme, where people, after having a tradition that if a family member died, they began a ritual until they come and bury that person. That, in the majority of cases, with its exceptions, is broken. Nowadays, people do not even see when a person dies, cannot accompany that person in his last moments. And at the burial moment, others are the ones that bury him, and they are located far away from the point where they are burying the person which died from suspicion of pandemic or devastated by the great desolation. So, from where can we begin? From where can we take a path to be able to address the topic? All the perspectives that we can indicate will have tremendous complications. One way or another, as said before, the political part, the sanitary part, the religious part, the family part has been, is, and will continue being hit by the great desolation that is leaving us extraordinary lessons. Because we can see that after having the pagan Christian groups a great struggle and a great contamination in the human being, suddenly they have come to face a truth that we consider unique, that they do not have power before the great desolation. In our country, for example, they are asking that between quotation marks healing people, in other words, those evil born, false, pagan religious apostles, or those deceitful, vulgar pastors that say that they can heal. Well, here in our region, they have invited them to go to the hospitals, to the COVID rooms, where the people with the pandemic can be found, that they go and heal them. And what do you think has happened? They do not show up. They do not exist. They do not appear. So imagine the message that is behind this situation, that after filling their mouth of putting a lot of programs of scammers or swindlers, asking money to the people for healing, speaking that they have the power of God, they do not show for nothing in the hospitals or the COVID rooms because they will also die. Because what we have been able to observe is that this great desolation races and without mercy. So, this issue of far beyond the pandemic has had a well defined purpose and is to discover the truth that the majority of Christian pagans keep quiet, hide, keep to themselves, concealed, and it should not be that way because you cannot block the sun with a finger. But look where we found ourselves. Look the current situation in which we are. We have serious problems because supposedly the guardians of the between quotation marks faith are the mere deceit. So this great desolation has allowed us to see in a crystalline way the lie, and at the same time it is allowing that models of conduct, customs, interpersonal or family relationships began begin to modify, so that in time abrupt changes are given that can allow a determined agenda to be followed. It has called our attention in a very powerful way this matter in the United States about Trump and of some supposedly will say scammers that call themselves between quotation marks prophets of God that since last year have been with that falsehood that lie, that hypocrisy, that deceit of saying that Trump was the chosen one of God and that God was going to give him 4 more years. And well, the history that we are living is another one. But these sirs have driven mad, have compromised. We do not know with what a power, the authority and the power of God, saying that God is going to give Trump 4 more years. And that is the prophecy, and that the prophecy will be fulfilled not according to the human time, but the divine time that he has chosen in a series of foolishness and vulgarities from these deceitful Pauline Christian pagans. So definitely we can assure with luxury of details that the great desolation has also discovered these liars. And the question that might rise and should be asked, that is necessary to make, that is correct to dispute, is why is this happening? Why is the great desolation unmasking the Christian pagans, the Paulines, and the fakers? Why is religion one of the most heated nowadays? Why are these events happening? What is the core or the sense of this issue? Why have they brought us this far to see this situation? Where are we heading to? Where are they taking us? What is that we are not seeing? These are important, fundamental, and necessary questions that have to be made because the desolation keeps making way in the world and is revealing things that otherwise we wouldn't be able to see. That is why for us the message that they want to give us is very important. We believe this is the moment to remind you that you can visit the webpage of the church. The address is churchofgod.tk. You can also write to us to the email the last church followed by the number 7 gmail.com. We also have other platforms that little by little we will be mentioning to not exhaust you with relation to this theme. Well, re- returning to what we have been talking about in this new delivery of this great desolation that is going around the world and that has worried many people and that has taken many people and that will continue taking many people, we consider that we should take from this the greatest possible advantage. The actual believer has to differentiate himself from the Christian pagan because he has decided to abandon all religiosity in the deceit, be it Pauline, Pedrist, Johnsist, and from any other character of the scripture that no longer serves to him any longer. We hold as faith that Revelations is the book that comes to overthrow every other text, be letters or books, and that we are more interested in knowing the mystery, the truth, the teaching it contains, that what nowadays can say to us Paul, Peter, John, or any other character of the history. We are living urgent. complicated and difficult times, and it was already proven to us, taught to us, revealed to us that the Christian pagans cannot do anything with the great desolation, much less that they will want to say us how to do things when they cannot even deal with this problem, with this situation. That is why we believe that it is important, fundamental, and necessary that we can study, analyze, and debate this, this issue of the great desolation, of which nobody wants to talk, and that we believe that it is very important that we talk about. That is why we would like you to invite you to hear our podcasts in the different platforms in which we have them, as well as some radios that we are trying to keep as far as possible so that this message can circulate. You can find us in the platform anchor.fm slash U00DALTIMA hyphen IGLESIA. The same, you can write us to our email, the last church 770 number, and visit the webpage churchofgod.tk. And you can also find us in mixcloud.com slash ULTIMA followed by the number 7. We will continue in other delivery talking about this subject that we consider fundamental and vital for us. Thank you very much.